We're getting reaction to new changes coming from the federal government that will require international students coming to study in Canada to have double the amount of funds currently required. Now, some international students are calling this a cruel move and say this will only create more roadblocks. Dev Kamboj is a former international student from India. He says if he was required to save $20,000, not including tuition funds, he would have been able to fulfill his dream of studying in Canada.
If I were in that situation, like I'm also a student, I'm a former student. If my family would have been put through that situation, like from 10,000 to you have to now arrange $20,000, it's a kind of a very big thing to grant such big loans, and it would be like I crushed my dream.
Starting next year, prospective students will need to show they have access to $20,635 instead of the $10,000 that has been required for years. An amount that Kamboj says will be difficult to save for working class families like his.
To take such massive loans, it's very hard for us, and if you dream about, if somebody is already processing their files, they are thinking to come to Canada, and this change gonna impact them, it can lead them to mental stress.
Immigration Minister Mark Miller made the announcement this week, saying the purpose for the change is meant to ensure international students aren't left vulnerable to what he called sketchy employers and unable to afford a life in Canada. But advocates with the Migrant Workers Alliance say this will only create more hurdles and are calling for the feds to instead grant permanent immigration status for all international students.
The announcement that Minister Miller made has been just a roller coaster for more than 1 million current and former international students in this country. And this roller coaster has just gone off the tracks and led them into a maze of stress, exploitation, hunger, and concerns about what they're going to do in their future.
The federal government is also set to reimpose a 20-hour cap on the number of hours that international students can work off campus. But with the cost of living at a high, many international students say putting limits on how much they can earn will mean choosing between education and basic life necessities.
I was a student. In my personal opinion, there was no 20-hour limit. I cannot work more than 20-hour limit, so I have to suffer through exploitation and load of things, and I don't want students like me to go through that.
Canada says that it needs current and former international students, and many will come, but it's a question of whether Canada will allow them to come with full rights and protections.
Now, this change will apply to any new study permits received on or after January 1st. Nakhavoly, City News.